Hello, YouTube. Mr. Miz here, and with the World Cup in full swing, I kind of harken back to a conversation I started having with a coworker of mine a couple days ago about why it is that soccer just isn't as popular in America as it is in pretty much all of the rest of the world. And we had some speculation, but I think I'm just going to say that here's my case for it. Number one, I think there's a lack of tradition, especially for what I'm going to call ancestral Americans. So if your family's been here for more than, say, 3 generations, they probably came over before soccer became as popular as it was or is now. And they probably also came over at a time when a lot of people that did immigrate to this country really made an effort to sort of leave their old culture and customs behind and assimilate that isn't as common now. And so, with soccer not being as popular amongst that group, there just really isn't any sort of history of it. I mean, I can remember, playing catch with a baseball or a football with my dad, or sometimes shooting horse. I remember, pickup games of football or Fumble Annie or, baseball or whatever with my friends as a kid. But I don't know. I know we never really did much of soccer with my dad or my brother. And if my friends and I ever did a pickup game of soccer, it was so few and far between that I can't remember it anymore. And so out of that sort of lack of tradition, also is going to come a lack of familiarity. And, yes, I know things like YouTube exist and I could look it up if I wanted to, but I mean, I don't know anything about soccer. I know the goalkeeper isn't allowed, or is the only player that's allowed to touch the ball with his hands. And, that's basically it. The most instruction I've ever had on the rules of soccer, outside of just knowing that, the goaltender is the only one that's allowed to touch the ball, is one time an ex of mine got me to watch Bend It Like Beckham, and Keira Knightley's father was explaining to her mother something about offsides rules, I think. So, I mean, like, I know it's not just a bunch of guys randomly running around, kicking a ball, trying to get it to go into the goal. But other than that, I don't understand the game. And so, there's not much to really captivate me there. But there's other problems with soccer too, I think. It's so low scoring. I mean, I watched a game. I forced myself to. I think it was back in 2010. It was in one of the World Cup cycles, and the United States played Ghana. And I mean, it was so low scoring. And I mean, I looked, and something like, now granted that was a record year. I did do a little bit of Googling on this, but like there were so many games that ended in scoreless ties or like 1-0. I mean, it's just there's not enough drama there. Which is somewhat confusing given how big the goal is, but, whatever. I don't play soccer. I'm sure it's much more difficult to score a goal than it might appear. But yeah, it's just, there's not much to it. There's not enough scoring. There's not enough to hold interest. Another issue is, I'm just going to say it, it's the lack of manliness. And I ain't saying I'd do anything but get my ass kicked in a fist fight with a professional soccer player. I mean, they'd probably just run around until I had a heart attack, which wouldn't take too long because I smoke a pack a day and I'm obese. But, be that as it may, I'm watching these men that I can tell are extremely, physically fit. The slightest contact, they're just going down to the ground and weeping like newly widowed Italian women. It's pathetic. And I get that the rules encourage it, but then you need to change the rules because the rules are stupid. I mean, compare this to American sports that are popular. Football is just an absolutely violent collision sport where these guys hit each other so hard that it makes you wince and cringe just watching it on TV. Hockey's similar, but with the added bonus that sometimes people get hit with sticks, maybe even cut by a skate blade. Oh, yeah, and they allow fist fights. Even baseball, which is kind of, I think most people would agree is the softest of the major American sports, you can get hit with a 90-plus mile an hour fastball, and your options are walk it off on the way to home or the way to first base, or charge the mound and, get into a fake fist fight with the offending pitcher. And I mean, even stuff that some people don't even consider to be a sport, like NASCAR. The most popular guy in NASCAR ever, Dale Earnhardt, died in a frickin' car wreck. Died literally engaged in the sport. And I mean, it's not like it's just something that applies to soccer either. Most people would consider LeBron James to be, if not the greatest ever to play basketball, then certainly in the top 3 and definitely in the conversation. But for everything that he's done, he has a reputation as a flopper. And it taints his legacy somewhat. I'm from Pittsburgh. We love Sidney Crosby out in Pittsburgh, but, he has a reputation of whining to the referees. Or at least he did. I don't know that he still does, but, I mean, that kind of thing where you're just, going down in a heap at the slightest touch, I don't think it comports with the American mindset, frankly. Another problem you get with soccer is sort of the lack of last-second heroics. I mean, basketball, you've got the buzzer beater. Football, you got the Hail Mary pass or the last-second field goal. I mean, even baseball. Baseball doesn't even operate on a timer or a clock, and you've still got things like a walk-off home run. And you also, if you're paying attention at that point, you probably know what the pitch count or the count is as well. There's all these things that can influence the outcome of a game in the last, seconds or the last part of the game that, form, if you've watched a great game like that with a great ending, you'll remember it for the rest of your life. With soccer, and again, I'm ignorant of soccer. Maybe, there was some way of keeping time that I didn't realize or whatever. But they went into extra time because, guys flopping for the most part. There was maybe a couple other reasons, but I don't know if they ever said how much time they were adding. There's no clock running. You can't, it ran the regular length of the match, 90 minutes or whatever. But then there's no clock running as they're playing out this extra time. As near as I can tell, the only guy who knew when the match was going to end was some referee running around with a stopwatch. So, I mean, okay, the match just, one second they're playing, the whistle start blowing and the match is over, and I had no idea it was coming. And again, I will freely admit, it is possible that maybe there's some way of keeping track of this that I don't know about. But, I mean, if that's how it's going to be played, that's just, that's no fun. So, overall, I don't think soccer just really, really sits well with the American mindset in general. I get that it's beloved in the rest of the world, and, it does seem like there's a lot of people, especially younger people that are getting into it, but I don't know. I just can't. Anyway, that's my 2 cents. If you have, some things you'd like to point out that are great about soccer or things you don't like about it that you think I missed, please or please comment and let me know. I'll try to get back to everybody. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed it. Or if you didn't, feel free to vent your spleen. I'm a big boy. I can take it. Have a great day. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.